What if I told you that autism can be healed? What if I told you that 100% healing for an autistic child that has been categorized and labeled as a special needs child for his or her entire life? What if I told you that that person, probably your loved one, your friend, your family, your sibling, even your child, what if I told you that that person that is suffering right now, that has actually caused collateral suffering because your entire family circle, social circle would have to adapt to this person's dysfunction? What if I told you that person has a chance to heal today? And I believe that transformation always starts with an awareness. And if you look throughout the Bible, how people actually got aware of the healing that was available to them was that Jesus taught the healing. Jesus taught and demonstrated the healing. So in this video, I want to do what medical science has supported and also what medical science has actually given us an avenue to go beyond patient care and actually deal with the hard stuff. You see, the Bible that, again, contains principles that human beings can live by, regardless of your language, regardless of your religion. It contains the principle that where our heart is, that's literally the place where our entire life flows from. Why? Because our heart is the core of our entire being. And every time when someone's heart is being fractured or wrecked or abandoned or hurt or injured, your entire life flows from there. And that is where I talk about the entire 3T model, the thoughts, the traumas, and the toxins. And some of you guys might be familiar with the 3Ts as how Dr. Daniel David Palmer, the founder of chiropractic in 1895, he purported that all chiropractic problems or spinal issues can actually come from thoughts, from traumas and toxins. And he was actually on the right track. He actually used the 3T model to talk about how it can lead to spinal problems. And back then, when there was no heart disease, when there was no diabetes, no metabolic disease, as a matter of fact, many people actually got healed of their diseases just because of spinal issues. And just from spinal healing. But how many of you guys know today that that is not the case? The reality today is that our entire world is filled with trauma, filled with unhealthy thought patterns. People are getting mentally ill, depressed, and they're getting sick in the mind as much as they are getting sick in the body. And when we look at how the body, the brain, the whole body was designed, it was never designed by God to function as a body alone. In fact, we are the only species on the entire planet Earth that actually have a soul. So I want to speak really to your soul today, which contains your emotions, your thoughts, your will. So a lot of things that you just can't see in the screen, on the screen, or even as you're talking to a person casually, right, having a casual conversation, you're not going to assess his or her thoughts or his or her will or his or her emotions. But that's what I want to speak to today, because literally that Bible proverb that says, out from the heart flows the issues of life. And if you have a good heart, a well thought out heart, a heart that is soft and tender towards healing, I believe that your life can be changed, and specifically autism can be healed. So I don't know who needs to hear this today. I'm putting it out there as an available resource, but if you are going, I need to be set free, I need healing of my autism, I want to be that first doctor in your life to speak the truth that goes beyond medical science, that actually uses medical science to support what God has done in terms of how he created you to be. And can I just say this, 𝗗𝗫𝗁𝗏, whom I gleaned so much resources from, together with Pastor Henry Wright from Be in Health Ministries, and again, Dr. 𝗗𝗫𝗁𝗏, Golden Health Eagles, who wrote the book, Healing Starts with the Sanctification of the Heart, in this thick 1,000-page book, Bible from a medical perspective, medicine from a biblical perspective. These two individuals, Dr. 𝗗𝗫𝗁𝗏 as well as Pastor Henry Wright, have actually given us resources as the forerunners of this healing ministry, this medical ministry, where we actually have seen medical evidence support exactly how God has designed us. And what 𝗗𝗫𝗁𝗏 said is what I want to sow into your heart right now as the first thing, and it's that God's plan for you or that loved one suffering from autism is not to even be autistic in the first place. But how many of you guys know that the reality is not as such, when someone is autistic, we now need to reverse engineer that disease and backtrack and figure out what actually happened that led up to the autism, and then work our way backwards so that the person can achieve healing. Again, why must we persist and pursue healing all the way, 100% healing for autism? That's because God designed you to thrive here on earth, and autism is not part of his plan. So I believe even this truth that I just spoke over you should break, and I pray that that would already break something in you right now, so that you are not stuck in this cubicle, literally, right, that I'm in right now, that you just go, I just need to maintain, I just got to manage my situation. I want you to be able to break free from that, okay? So now, I'm going to go through review the 3T model, as I mentioned earlier, the thoughts, the traumas, and the toxins. And more importantly, because toxins is such a scientifically backed up component of this 3T model, that is usually something that I don't give on the video. I actually tell people how to eat well. I actually go through different neuroscience, advanced applied kinesiology type of diagnostic test to figure out what exactly you need. Perhaps you need some anti-inflammatory, perhaps you need some glutathione, all these different things that have shown up in the research. That is not my focus for this video. My focus is on the first 2 T's, and that is the thoughts and the traumas, okay? So let me just jump straight into it here. So buckle your seatbelt, because you're about to receive even more truth. And at the end of this video, I'm actually going to give you a chance to jump on a free call with me, okay, so that you can actually gain a little more insights. After you watch this video, you're gonna go, okay, I probably need some help. I would like to find out more. I may not want to pay Dr. Ben right away, but I'm gonna actually take the next step and figure out if this is really for me. Okay, I believe it's for you, but you may not believe that that is for you. So I want you to have that own conviction, because from that conviction, again, you will start to be aware, and from that awareness, you will start to want to be transformed. So thank you again for your time. Let's jump straight into it. Now, when it comes to your thoughts and your traumas, the first 2 T's, you got to understand that it's all founded on this principle that you are designed for healthy relationships. And there are 3 relationships here on earth. That's relationship with God, our creator, relationship with others, and relationship with yourself. And anytime there's a relationship strain or relationship that's hurt, bitterness came in, unforgiveness came in, anger, hatred, resentment, violence, anything of these came into that relationship and soured it, what happens is it causes a huge amount of stress, way beyond your mental stressors from work, your work-related stress, your lack of finances, fear of the future, anxiety around the dark, whatsoever. All these things that happen on the daily are what we consider as a low potency stressor. However, the high potency stressors are really the ones that come from a relationship breakdown. So any of the 3 that I mentioned with God, perhaps you were hurt by your church, perhaps you were hurt by your youth leader. I'm just giving anecdotes as I've heard from hundreds of clients. And relationship with others, relationship with yourself. Perhaps you just can't forgive yourself. Perhaps you just have this fear of man. You are seeking other people's approval because they have imposed their demands on you. They've hurt you, or they're just domineering over you. Any relationship breakdown, it's a recipe for disaster, because the stress that comes from that is highly, highly toxic. And again, I won't go into the science. That's what I reserve for patients who have actually signed up with me. And if you want, I can always mention a little bit on that free 3T interest call that I will mention at the very end. Okay, so what kind of relationships actually get strained based on the 2 T's, the thoughts, the trauma? So what kind of traumatic relationships would have gone sour or would have taken place and causing negative thought patterns, which, by the way, 87 to 95% of chronic diseases known to mankind, 80% of which are considered incurable, like autism. How can they actually... Oh, sorry, my bad. Let me backtrack. The 87-95% of those diseases, 80% of which are incurable, are actually rooted in research, are found to be, they can actually be traced back to your negative thought life. So the way you think is the way you are. And that brings up another fantastic proverb that is so relevant right now, that it says, Proverbs 23, verse 7, that as a man thinketh in his heart, again, from his heart flows the issues of life. he will be. Your body will become how the way you think. So if you look at the way traumas happen in an autistic child, it typically comes from a ungodly order, an ungodly disorder in the home and the marriage. That means in your family, God has designed your family to function with a head and a tail. Okay, and not to say that the tail is less important than the head, but the head is really the one who leads the entire family, the one who's in the driver's seat of the family, the one who says, if there's a train wreck, I'm going to be the one to stand first in front of my entire family to shield them from the effects and to protect them and to provide for them. You are that person who leads the family. And guess what? That person is not your mother. It's not the female in the house. It is actually the father. So an ungodly order in the home, in the marriage, really comes when the father is passive and the mother is overly active. And am I saying again that women are not significant? No, that is not true. God designed women and men equally in terms of how much they are valued, how much they can contribute to society. I truly believe that women can be the best kinds of spouses because they support what the husbands do. And again, I've seen women teachers, women pastors, women marketplace leaders, industry leaders, and those are testament to how God has designed us. All of us have an assignment, all of us have a calling, all of us have a purpose. However, the function of a family must always start with the father being the one who establishes protection, provision, identity in the family. That means their kids, when they lack identity, when they take on the world's approval of them, when they take on the world's identity of them, or in cases of transgenderism, or in cases of saying that we can have co-ed bathrooms, we can eliminate prayer from school, especially if you're in the US, stuff like that. All these are the world's view of what your child should be. However, while you can't completely remove them from all these society issues, because some people go to public schools and to each his own, right? Some people homeschool, like my kids. We are going to be homeschooling them in the years to come. But to each his own, right? It's not neither wrong or right. It's what battles you choose to fight. And in the light of this idea that the world's identity given to your child is so toxic these days, the father figure is the one to establish that identity in that child. When that is not the case and the woman is now the dominating ruler, the woman is the one controlling the finances, the woman is the one telling the husband what to do, the woman is the one who wears the pants in the family while the man just sits back passively, guess what? It creates an ungodly order. That means the hierarchy that God has established to flow in the function, in the identity and the entity of the family is now reversed. And what that does is it invites this spiritual darkness. And I say spiritual darkness not to freak people out, to go, oh my gosh, I'm spiritually abandoned or whatsoever, but somewhere down the line in your lineage, whether it is your direct home or whether it is in the generations of your family before that, somehow there was a woman, it could be your mom, could be your grandmother, could be your aunt, especially if it's in the lineage of your father's side of the family, there was some kind of messed up, ungodly order that created a spiritual force, okay, and that's what we know in the Christian circle as a deaf and dumb spirit, and that's the Jezebel and the Ahab spirit. And again, I'm opening up a can of worms here so that you are aware that you are in a fight that the medical system cannot help you. Excuse me, because all they do is they keep you in drugs, or they keep you, maybe they counsel you, but they never actually tell you these spiritual things that, again, like I said at the start of the video, your body was not designed to just have a body. Your body was designed with a spiritual backing. That means operating out of love or fear, and a soul in the middle, spirit, soul, body. And the soul is made up of thoughts, your will, your emotions. But you can see that the entire relationship between the spirit, soul, body, if you're operating out of a fear that your mom is the one in control and your dad is not in control, your dad's not having a say in establishing your identity, eventually it will shape the way you think. And research shows for autistic kids that typically in an ungodly home, there could be many things that can go awry, but anger is the main thing. Why? When the father that God designed to be the head of the house does not take his place and is being replaced by his wife, his spouse, what happens is the wife would always be domineering over the husband, and the husband, because innately he feels like he is not stepping up and he feels trampled upon. Eventually he gets angry, and when he gets angry, he could lash out at the mom, he could lash out at the kids, and he could start to develop this violent predisposition, and he might even take action and start being violent. And when that happens, bitterness, unforgiveness, all founded on this angry dissatisfaction, this dissonance within himself that he is no longer in control, he starts to hate women, he starts to hate just himself, and all of a sudden this entire family unit is now being founded on anger. And what this does in the brain, it starts to create an autistic profile. And again, there's a lot to say about that, but at this juncture, I want to just mention to you that if you are acquainted with a loved one who is autistic, or maybe your child is autistic, and everything I just said earlier, I know I've covered a lot of background, but if what I just said earlier was something that you felt was that typically, like, particularly resonated with you, you got to understand that you can't do this alone. You cannot do this alone. Outside in the medical system, it's not going to help you, okay? Outside in the medical world, they're just going to be telling you to go see a counselor, perhaps put you on psychiatric medicine, and all that is to keep you bound from the truth, keep you bound and hidden from the truth that will set you free. So at the end of the day, guys, I have a 30-minute free 3T interest call, as well as a free PDF that goes along with it down in the description box. And I want you to actually click that link to read the PDF, and towards the end of the PDF, you get an invite to really jump on a 3T interest call, completely free. And I want to reduce the barriers to as low or literally no barriers at all, so that you know that it is not going to cost you to delve a little bit deeper, so that your awareness, by this time you should be more aware of what it could really mean for you to take action. But if you want to take that next step, that 3T interest call is for you. And I really just want to thank you again for your attention. And don't matter how this ends up, whether you are going to be completely ignoring this and not take action, or just share this with your friends or family, I want you to know that God loves you and he sees you. And those who are hurting, I believe this video that I'm taking in this little cubicle here in my office is actually going to be sent out to people who really need the answers. So if that's you, I want to urge you and encourage you, I want to exhort you, take action, read the free PDF, figure out exactly why the 3T approach, the thoughts, the traumas, and the toxins, will help you gain freedom from autism, and of course take the next step with the free 3T interest call. So this is Dr. Ben, and when I say Dr. Pastor Ben, it's really the essence of involving pastoral care, and that's why my patient appointments are set up that way. I particularly I can have 2 to 3 hour appointments where I'm really journeying with the patient. We talk about the deep and the tough stuff, and this is really my heart to reach to the deepest areas of a hurting heart, a broken heart, so that that person can truly heal. So if that's you, please click the links down below. Free PDF followed by a free 3T interest call. I bless you in the name of Jesus. Thank you very much.